Free for All Friday. What a great weekend we have coming up. July 4th weekend already next week, and things to do here in town. You don't have to travel. I just thanks Brian covering me last week while I traveled to Denver. And
my pleasure. How was Denver?
It was good. Went to Red Rocks to see OAR in concert, and it was kind of a magical night, a bucket list thing. So couldn't do it without you. But I heard your show. It was really great with Greg Hansen and Dave Sullivan. So anyway, how you doing?
Doing good. We have a big change in the Observer this week because we're starting the Hammock Observer on Thursday. So it'll be the first edition.
Okay.
Pretty excited about that.
All right. Also in the studio, if you're watching live, you can on WNZF Facebook page, also on our YouTube channel. You can see everybody. Amy Caratanuto, you see her. She does a radio show here on Saturdays called Speaking of Animals. You've been doing that for, 14 years yeah. Since we kind of started, and thought it would be good to get you guys in there. So good to have you on Free for All.
Thank you so much.
And you brought with you your new sidekick, new board member at the Ag Museum. Tell us about Dave.
I'm going to tell you about Dave.
Well, Dave, tell us about Dave.
Dave, we met Dave when he was donating the tater tots, $2 for every set of tater tots that Johnny D's sells. He donates to Flagler Humane Society, so that's been really awesome.
Yeah, it's in honor of my English Bulldog Tater that passed away a couple of years ago from congestive heart failure. So that made it important to honor his memory. It's funny because I'm in between two people that I've gotten pretty close to. So my French Bulldog Dottie got away, and Carolyn, to my left, was in the woods with me at 11 o'clock at night while we're trying to follow a FAA piloted drone. So, getting involved with the Humane Society for me was to honor Tater and to really help take care of animals. And then to meet Caroline along the way, I mean, what an asset in the community.
Right. I think everybody... Hey, Caroline, how you doing?
That was a pretty good introduction.
That was.
Thank you.
Yeah. And you've brought a special friend, and he's so damn cute. My gosh. Tell us a little bit about who you brought here. And you can see it on the camera. If you're just listening on the radio, check out WNZF Facebook because it's live right now, and also... it's captivated here for
yes,
playback.
And you don't want to miss Casper.
All right, Casper.
This is Casper. I'm Caroline Johnson. I'm director of Smart Animal Rescue. This is one of our adoptable dogs, Casper. 3 years old, found as a stray. Owner did not want him back. Going through heartworm treatment. He's been neutered, up to date on everything. Great boy. Good with kids, dogs. He's in a foster with... dogs that are 80 pounds and 5 pounds. He does very well with all. We even have a senior there that we are fostering for somebody in the Family Life Center right now that just had surgery that we covered, 13 years old, and he actually lays with him and kind of protects him right now. So great dog.
God, this is such an emotional program. Not that others aren't, Brian, but when it has to do with animals and particularly dogs, they're so sweet, so special and everything. How did you get in the business of, Amy, of running a humane society?
It was many, many, many years ago. It was like 1984. There was the wildfires back in the 1984, and I started volunteering at Halifax Humane Society, and then it just snowballed from there. Volunteer.
Was there a Flagler Humane Society before?
Flagler Humane Society was opened in 1982, and I ended up here in 1990. So,
all right.
Yeah.
And what about you, Caroline? How did you get into starting SMART, which stands for?
Saving Missing Animals Response Team. So I volunteered at Flagler Humane for 7-8 years, doing mostly running the Lost Pet page, bringing a lot of stray dogs in, which I would do whatever I could to try to reunite and find the families so that the shelter was not overcrowded. And I also did their outreach adoption events as a volunteer. So I would set up at PetSmart and some of the stores and help get some of the needy dogs out of the shelter that needed a little more spotlight.
Mm-hmm. Is that typical that you would go out at 11 o'clock hunting in the woods for animals?
Unfortunately, yes. That's when animal control is open or closed. We normally do go out and help with families with lost dogs. Unfortunately, as the county has grown and quadrupled, There's a lot of those lost dogs. That number has gone up significantly. I think when I was volunteering with Amy at the shelter, there might have been 2 or 3 a week at that time in the beginning. Slowly that increased. And now we have, looking at the lost pet page last time, trying to get numbers, sometimes we have 5 to 10 a day that are lost and posted. So
what is going on? Okay, first of all, I'm like, you used to be able to, you'd sit there at the grocery store and kid would be sitting there going, free puppies, and be like, okay, I'll take one. Now the cost of buying a dog, I mean, they really cracked down on puppy mills, right?
Yes, thank
so
goodness.
is there really no more puppy mills in Florida?
I wish.
Really,
I
there
wish.
are?
No, there's still puppy mills.
But it's like thousands of dollars for a puppy, and it's not one you're going to go show somewhere at a dog show. This is just a home, like a pet to have for, like, we're talking, well, my daughter bought one at our Christmas party in the parking lot for $3,000 an impulse buy. And I'm like, oh, you got to be kidding me. But it's like when you connect with a dog, it's like, and you're kind of looking for one, it's like, this is it. Got to have it. So why are they so expensive? What's driven up the cost? And then I'm wondering, are people stealing dogs and reselling them?
Yes.
And yeah, so tell me, what is going on in the dog industry world?
Well, that's, like Caroline was saying, our adoption fees are consistent. And when you pay for an adoption, you're paying for the spay-neuter, the microchip, all of the vaccines. If it's heartworm treated, then that's usually taken care of by, whichever agency. So it's frustrating that people still will go out and spend a fortune on animals. And, of course, people don't say they're coming from a puppy mill. No puppy mill operator is going to call themselves a puppy mill. They call themselves private breeders. But it's not always – I always say to people, if you are going to buy a dog from a breeder, make sure you go to the facility or the home or whatever where the animal is. Don't meet them behind Winn-Dixie or Walmart. Make sure you go to see where the mama and possibly the daddy dogs are and see the conditions that the puppies are being raised in.
Brian?
So when you say it costs thousands of dollars, that's from like a breeder or an independent, but it doesn't cost that much to adopt a dog, like from the Humane
Correct.
Society.
Correct.
What does it cost to adopt a dog from the Humane Society?
Most of our dogs are $100, depending on the little teeny tiny ones are a little bit more costly, so that we don't have people flipping them, because we used to see that. We would have people come in and pay $100 for a Yorkie puppy, and then we would see it on Craigslist or whatever.
No way.
Later on, people flip them. So we make the little ones a little bit
wow.
more expensive, and then that way we can make the 10-year-old pity mix. Then we can do those at a reduced cost. So kind of supply and demand ish, but it's still very low cost. Doesn't come anywhere near covering our costs, and I'm sure Caroline can say the same thing. Like the adoption fees they help supplement some of the care that we give, but it doesn't come close.
Caroline, with you, it was smart. What's how's it work with adoptions? People want to get one. Like
our adoptions we do puppies a year and under are $350. Includes everything, including spay neuter. Adult dogs a year and over are $250. Unlike the shelter, we pay full cost it is discounted at our East Coast Animal Hospital, who's our nonprofit vet. But our vet care is significantly higher. We do cover the heartworm treatment. We cover. We've even done dentals on dogs.
What does a heartworm treatment cost these days?
The last I tried not to look at the numbers when I looked at the bills. I try to just pay weekly, but based on the weight of the dog, it can change. Doing one on Casper versus, a 90-pound dog is quite different because the meds are different. I want to say anywhere between $1,500 and $2,000 we pay, for a dog for heartworm treatment. So by the time we do spay, neuter, vaccines, deworming, and get them on monthly prevention in addition to a heartworm treatment or a dental. If a dog's teeth are rotted, I'm not going to adopt him out that way because most people are struggling to pay vet care. So if we're adopting out a dog that needs $1,500 in dental work, 9 times out of 10 they're not going to be able to keep up with that. So we cover it. But again, you're looking at relying on just donations and fundraising at this point to spend $2,500 to get a dog adoptable is a significant hit for us, but we'll do it. I mean, the dogs they're worthy of it. I mean, look at Casper. I mean, with heartworm treatment, he'd have a lot of medical issues if we don't treat him, and he's deserving of that.
And he's ready to, all checked out, 20-point inspection.
He's a perfect boy. He has 2 more injections to go for heartworm treatment. And, and again, like Amy said, with the puppies, we take in quite a bit of puppies usually from drug houses. We've taken in many. Unfortunately, they come with every kind of parasite there is, so the vetting is a lot more expensive than taking in a healthy puppy from someone that just can't take care of it or, decided. We actually took in a puppy last week. Somebody went to Orlando, adopted a puppy or purchased a puppy for $500. After 2 or 3 days, they decided they didn't want it anymore. So we have that puppy that's 10 weeks old. Luckily, no major medical there or sickness, but for the most part, most of ours have high vet costs.
Have you seen the same thing with puppy flipping?
I haven't per se myself. I know it's out there. We live in a world that is, unfortunately for some people, is just money driven. I know there's a lot of dog and puppy scams that go on online. A lot of people posting litters of puppies that they get people to send deposits for, and big money deposits, and then they never show to meet with the puppy. So you just have to be super careful. There's shelters, there's rescues that are very reputable, and you can go get, look at this little guy. He's a Maltese, and you don't have to go spend $3,000 on a Maltese when you have one adoptable for $250. That's going to come fully vetted, coming from a foster home where we can tell you all about the personality and likes and dislikes.
Dave Joy, you kind of stepped up. You're a dog lover, and I don't know anybody. Well, I guess I do know people that aren't, but I don't know. To me, like, once you have a dog in your life, you got to always have a dog. We've got 2, and then our dog's got to have a dog in its life. And it's like getting out of hand. And we got 2 cats at our house. I'm like, how did this happen? Anyway. So, Dave Joy, you just signed up to be one of the new board members for the Humane Society. And you've worked with Caroline, obviously, crawling around in the woods at 11 o'clock at night. So what is the difference between the Humane Society and SMART?
I don't know necessarily, in my opinion, that there's a huge difference in what they do for animals. I will tell you, in my experience, in going to the Humane Society, my son and his girlfriend adopted a dog for the Humane Society. That all went great. Donating to them, because it's important to me for, some people may think it's silly, but it's important to Tater's legacy. That boy literally went everywhere with me. Like, if I would go to work and leave the door open before I got to the car, he would be sitting in the passenger seat. And I'm like, dude, I'm going to work. We're not going to Lowe's. On the flip side to that, Caroline reached out to me when my dog was lost and said, what can I do to help? And I said, well, I'm standing in about 6 feet of muck on the side of Rimfire. And she met us down there, and like I said at the beginning of it, if Caroline's a great resource and does a fantastic job on outreach for lost animals and many other things. Through this, and correct me if I'm wrong, we've become friends. And being a part of the Humane Society, I don't look at it as a conflict as much as if we could all cooperate in a way that benefits animals. They both do almost the exact same thing. And again, ladies, correct me if I'm wrong. But if I know both of these people sitting to my left and right? And for me, it's all about the animals. It's all about, whether it's Tater's memory or the fact that Dottie's still out there somewhere. And to tag on to the previous conversation about dog flipping and all that, lost dogs create so many scams. You've got people that, I can't tell you how many times I texted Carolyn with a lead and said, hey, should I pay these people? She's like, if you do, you're an idiot. And Amy the same way, right? So, people will call and say, hey, I got your dog, send me the money, or hey, I can look for your dog with a drone, send me $100. Well, I used an FAA piloted drone and bloodhounds and you name it to try to find Dottie. And what I could say to people, if you lose your dog and you want to go that route, there's professionals that do it. It's way more than $100, but they are, I mean, the guy that came down from Jacksonville was fantastic. And I believe Caroline took his information. You know what I mean? But we had bloodhounds, and then we had Flagler County Police, and the things that the Humane Society did. But for those of you that lose your dog, there's people out there that just want the cash. They could care less. And then the amount of prank phone calls that I got with just poorly parented children calling, and I have all their numbers saved. I don't know what I'm going to do with that, but I'll leave that for a different day. I hope that answered your question in a very long, drawn-out way.
All right. Well, so does Amy, does what Caroline do help the Humane Society by taking some of the load off? I mean, how do you guys work together? Do you work together?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and like Caroline was saying before she got smart up and running with volunteers, she would help catch animals that were difficult to catch, and she'd bring them into us, and we would try to get them reunited. That's the number one goal is, to reunite these animals before we have to put them up for adoption. So we really emphasize, please microchip your pet. Make sure that they have ID on. I think we all preach that we have to educate people to, be the best pet owners they can be. And Caroline does that. We do that. Just trying to help people so they can keep their pets too, because we end up, I think both organizations end up not only with stray animals, but a high percentage of owner surrender animals. And let's talk about the owner surrender thing, because I feel so bad because, here we are, Brian, you're doing a campaign to help feed people in Flagler County, families in Flagler County, get a subscription, and a portion of it goes to help the Grace Community Food Pantry. Thank you. I appreciate that. Yep. But, we talked to Pastor Solano that 6,500 families are in one way because of financial hardships and things like that. And here's you have a dog that you love, the family loves, and suddenly it needs heartworm treatment. You're talking thousands of dollars. Something where it's just, we just can't do it. We're already behind. Our credit cards are maxed out. We're behind on a car payment. We got this coming up and that coming up and everything. It's like how when you have to make a real hard decision that it's the best thing maybe for the dog would be to turn it over to either you or Caroline. And do you see more of that with inflation and the economy and things? Is it Sure.
like you do? Tell me, what are some of the stories you hear? And then Caroline, I want to hear some of the stories you hear.
Well, anytime somebody comes into the Humane Society, whether they call or come in and they say they want to surrender their pet, the first question is, what can we do to help you keep your pet? And if it is just a temporary financial crisis, we have a food pantry ourselves. We have doctors at the shelter 6 days a week now. And sometimes if it is a chronic ear infection or if it's something that we can help with lower cost or possibly free veterinary care, we always try to do that because the goal is to keep the animals with their original owners so that we don't have them taking up room in foster homes or the shelter. If the animal had a vote, they would always vote to stay with their original family. So we try to keep people and pets together. When people do call wanting to surrender a pet, we try to, it really is best practices now to ask people to give us a couple of days to make sure that they're not going to change their mind. We get people a lot of times, I don't know if Caroline does too, that they'll call up and they want to get rid of their pet, and then you say, okay, come in Tuesday at 10 a.m., and Tuesday at 10 a.m., they've changed their mind. So we hope for those where they've just worked it out. Maybe they were fighting in the family or something. So we hope that they just change their mind and keep the pet. And if there's anything we can do to help that, loan them a crate, help them with training, whatever. That's what we do.
Caroline, you shook your head yes when I said, do you see more people that are, painfully have to give up their pet, to surrender it, I guess is the word to it. What kind of stories were you hearing here in Flagler County?
So we looking at posts from us on Facebook and us pleading for help for people long before even starting SMART. If there's somebody with an animal emergency, normally I'll help fundraise to try to help a family so they don't have to give up their pet. So we've helped a lot of families to do that. Like I said, we have one right now. We just paid $3,000 for a senior 13-year-old small little 5-pound dog with a broken leg. The family is at the Family Life Center right now. So they reached out for help, and we were able to raise that to help them keep their dog, because going through already a crisis, they can't raise $3,000, come up with that right away for a surgery. So we do get a lot of calls for that. I stick away from a lot of the surrenders per se, and I let them deal with the shelter, because our primary focus is the dump dogs and the abused dogs. I like to rehab. So for me, I like to take a lot of the stray dogs that we find that are maybe too nervous to be in a shelter. So running a lost pet page, most of the dogs we get in are either lost and we can't find the owner, or dumped or abused dogs. Those are our forte.
Yeah, okay. Hey, we're going to take a break. We're going to be back. We're going to talk about money. I know Amy's been up being grilled by the Palm Coast City Council, the commission, and complicated world you live in. I think everybody's got their hearts in the right place, and we'll see what we can do to help you with that. And find out more. If you're not watching on the our WNZF YouTube channel, you can do it right now and see Casper, who's up for adoption. We'll be right back.
Don't even think about climbing that ladder.
We got a guy that'll do it for you.
If you're going to do it right with Benjamin Moore.
We've got the professional painters and the best paint.
Benjamin Moore, corner of Old Kings and Utility Drive.
Palm Coast.
Locals know where locals go.
For the best happy hour on the beach every day from 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. You'll love these drinks.
Johnny D's Beach Bar and Grill. We're waiting for you.
Now you can watch all the Palm Coast City Council meetings live on TV wherever you are.
This is a tactic to try to steal this seat from the mayor.
Know the facts.
You have comments that are not in reference to that investigation.
Don't believe everything you hear.
I think everybody has to honestly ask themselves that question, and that is the question I've asked myself. Because, Mayor, I have been a supporter of yours.
The Palm Coast City Council meetings now streaming video live on the WNZF Facebook page and on the Flagler Radio YouTube channel.
Hi, this is Pastor Charles Solano. Here's a few food facts that might surprise you. There are over 135,000 people living in Flagler County. Many families go hungry because of health and various financial hardships. Every month, our food pantry gives 6,500 families a $150 box of food. If you do the math, 150 times 6,500 is almost $1 million a month that can be spent locally on other needs. Thank you for donating to the $1 Million Foodathon. Go to gracecommunityfoodpantry.org.
There's an oldie for you, Dave Joy. Do you know the name of the song?
That's Pretty Woman.
There you go.
Thank you. I'll collect my prize at the end.
Yeah, right. Anyway, we're back Free for All Friday. I'm David Ayers, Brian McMillan, my co-host, Amy Caratanudo, who runs the Flagler Humane Society. Dave Joy, our good friend, and also runs a great restaurant bar, Johnny D's, down on the beach. And
yes, sir.
Joined on as a board member for the Humane Society, Caroline Johnson with Smart Saving, Missing Animal Rescue Team.
Got it.
All right, I like that. Is that a franchise, or did you come up with that?
No, we came up with that.
That was your own? Okay.
Yeah.
Because I see it says of Flagler. I thought, is there a Smart of Broward County, or no?
No.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you for doing it here. All right. I know you made a lot of friends. What got you into this, when Caroline? When you were a little kid, you weren't going to go, someday I'm going to start Smart.
When I came here, I actually just boredom after I worked for a prison with teenage males up in New York. Came here after a car accident. Boredom, started helping out on the Lost Pet page with the 1 or 2 a week I mentioned. And that kind of just escalated from there. Got me involved with going to visit those dogs when they were at the Humane Society, and it just kind of took off from there. So and I love it.
Followed your passion. Well, good for you.
I did.
You're an entrepreneur, and we admire that here. What about you, Amy? When you were a little kid, you didn't say I want to run a Humane Society. How'd your life get you here?
Well, like I said, I was just in college and volunteering. Started off like 1 day a week, and then it just really, Caroline can profess to it. It pulls you in. Mm-hmm. It's when you love animals, you just can't. People say, I could never work there. I love animals too much. I could never not work there, Yeah. I could never not be part of it.
Yeah. I mean, and there's also, there's so much joy and there's so much sadness on it because, anybody that's had a pet, when you have to take your dog in to be euthanized because it's lived its life and it's old and it's suffering and everything. I've cried over my dog dying a lot more than I have over people dying. They go, "Hey, did you hear about John? He died." Oh, okay. And then they go, "Oh my," and somebody, I don't even know their dog, and they go, "Oh my God, we had to take it in." I'm like crying. It's just, they're just so innocent and so special. So the emotions because you don't really do euthanizing, do you?
No,
Caroline?
not at all.
Isn't that's a horrible? But you, Amy, have to deal with horrible things like that, and every day with the and it costs a lot of money to run this Humane Society, and you get up there. So let's talk about on the front page of the Observer here. We'll throw Brian under the bus a little bit here. Who's in control of animal control? All right, the city of Palm Coast pays you $300 and some $1,000 a year.
No,
a
little over $90,000 a year.
Okay,
from Palm Coast.
For Palm Coast. All right,
yeah.
The county pays you how much?
County pays us close to $3 for different services. The city of Palm Coast has their own officers, and they bring all their animals to the Humane Society. And then the other cities, Bunnell, Flagler Beach, and unincorporated county, the Humane Society oversees animal services, and they bring the animals to the Humane Society. So
like every day, these cities are showing up and bringing animals to you?
Correct.
How many are you talking about?
We get, between all of the cities, roughly 9 or 10 stray animals per week, dogs, and also cats and birds and everything. We don't turn any species away, right? Right now we have 2 huge pigs and rabbits and mice. And
the pigs they were pets?
They were part of a neglect. They were part of a neglect case, so they were kind of pets. They were outdoor pets, though. So they've been difficult to find a home for because they're hybrids. So they're not potbellies. They're not livestock. So no matter, it's definitely hard to find them homes.
And these were where? Like who had these?
They were out in the unincorporated county. Okay. So
all right, Caroline, you're going to go into a pig rescue.
please.
To the dogs, thank you.
All right, well, here. So these are the statistics. We said there's 25,000 dogs in Flagler County based on statistic type. Oh, hey, there he is,
He's
Casper.
protecting us. He's
like proud. Yeah, we got 25,000 of your brothers and sisters here. Cats, there is one cat, domestic and feral. They combined them all into the statistics for 3 people. So that would be about 43,000 cats are roaming or in houses and wherever living in Flagler County, and 25,000 dogs that are in homes. And then with the population going up, we're going to have more of that. Hey, Casper.
See something out the door.
We have a new co-host here. My wife is texting me saying, please bring him home.
Oh, boy.
Cool.
Yeah, don't get in trouble here. All right, so what does it cost to run the Humane Society a year? Just one big nut. Like, just to keep it going, what you do, what's the number?
Our budget is a little over $3 million a year, and we figure each animal hard costs, when I just look at veterinary expenses and the people that take care of the animals specifically, our hard costs are a little over $500 per dog and roughly $400 per cat. Mm-hmm. And that doesn't include insurance and the light bill and things like that. So it's expensive.
What about the things like the heartworm treatment, though, that could cost thousands? Like, do you get special deals with veterinarians or
we treat heartworm in the shelter, so it is a little bit less expensive, but the medicine alone, the hard costs of the imidicide, it's called, is quite expensive. So even though we have veterinarians on our payroll, they don't volunteer, but even though we have our own veterinarians, it still is expensive to treat heartworm. Right. So that's why we push. Please keep your pets on heartworm prevention.
Well, so here, I mean, you do the numbers, like, say 90, say 100,000 from the city, 300,000 they got 400,000. You're talking over $3 million. Where does all this other money come from?
Well, thank goodness we have a very successful thrift store on Palm Coast Parkway across from the new hospital. So our thrift store is one of our largest sources of income. We also have fees for services. Like we were saying, there's adoption fees that they don't cover the costs, but they help supplement the costs. And we do fundraising and, so we get donations.
So isn't the Humane Society, it's a national franchise?
No, each shelter is separate. People do think that, though. They'll send money to ASPCA or the Humane Society of the United States, and they think that they're sending it to the local shelter, but we're all separate.
So we're okay. Well, I can't believe a thrift store. The thrift store does over $1 million a year.
No, not there yet. I think we will. I think we will, though. We gross. Hopefully, we're going to gross about $700,000.
All right. Okay. Well, then that's a good thing. We've dropped off stuff there anyway.
Thank you.
Drive in the back and whatever they won't take Christmas decorations
until July.
Yeah. Oh, really? Oh, okay. Well, I'll be back with those then. All right. So, how else do you make ends meet?
Like I said, fees for services. We do fundraisers. We have, we're always asking for donations, and it does add up. That's for sure.
So when I see you get up at the city council meeting and you did a great presentation, we're thinking, everything is great at the Humane Society, and then a couple of people get up there and they go, no, it's not. Like it's you're doing this and abusing animals and all those sort of things to it. How does that happen? And then also there was criticism that the board member, you had a husband and wife and a nepotism, and there's like a secret culture going on within the Humane Society to it, and they feel like you're not being transparent about things. So respond to those things, if you would.
Well, thank you. Well, all shelters have haters. People are very passionate about animals, like you said, and so whether it's Halifax Humane Society in Daytona or just all shelters, there's a group of haters for each shelter. And we just keep going and keep doing the good work we're doing. And, as far as the board membership, nepotism, there was never the definition of nepotism. Yes, we have husband and wife on the board, but they disagree on enough that it's not that they're not getting anything out of their board membership. Board membership actually costs all the board members. Dave will tell you, it costs. You have to donate to be on the board, and you have to be part of fundraisers, and so the board members don't get anything out of their board membership other than knowing that they've helped.
Okay, go ahead, Brian.
Well, the other question I had is, so out of a few $1 million budget, and you're talking about the city of Palm Coast having a $90,000, contribution to it. And I remember you saying in that meeting, this has been a couple months ago now, but that it's not really profitable for you to have the city contract. So if the city said, we got a real problem here, or we just want to go a different direction for whatever reason, and maybe what if the county did the same thing, what would that do to the Humane Society? It's not like, it doesn't sound like the Humane Society would then just have to close.
Correct.
It would just keep on going, but might not do all the... So how would that impact?
I think the Humane Society serves a bigger purpose than just providing the services to the county and the city. And I didn't mean to jump in, Amy, so you can hit me if you want to. But I think to David's point on the cloudiness in the communication from the Humane Society, I think we should seek to understand before being understood, right? As a new board member, that's what I've been saying at these meetings, and I haven't had anything thrown at me yet. But as far as the county or the city taking a bigger role in whether that be animal services or the shelter, we talked about it yesterday at a 2-hour meeting. The Humane Society, and again, kick me if I'm out of line, Amy, is excited for it because what it does is it better helps serve the animals. And that's what we're all in this for.
Meaning there's more people that would be having this task to accomplish.
Right, to help the helpless. I mean, and that's what, that's why Carolyn, and you correct me if I'm wrong, goes out at 11 o'clock at night in woods in muck and mud, and why we try to, at the Humane Society, create an environment to get people to keep their animals. I think we can do a better job communicating. I think we can do a better job communicating on what we do, what we offer, what we provide. But I also think we need to open our ears and go, you know what? We don't know everything. There that do a great job. This lady to the left is one of them. We should all be in the conversation. We should all have that conversation together.
And on your story here, I did talk to a couple of the county commissioners, and they really don't want to get in the business of animal or whatever. They would love to be able to build a better facility and partner with Amy and the Humane Society. Ideally, that's what they would like to do. And I think the communications being open and what was it? Your bylaws weren't posted. They had a hard time with that, and there was some secrecy. And I think
there really was never any secrecy. We've just anything they want, we will provide. You know, whether it's our statistics, I gave them all of our intake statistics for the last 10 years. Anything they want, they just have to let me know.
But there was resistance to giving the bylaws at first.
It was just, Palm Coast had called me on a Monday night and asked for the bylaws, and we had the meeting Tuesday morning. Okay. So I just had to clear it through the board that we were going to provide the bylaws, and we did. But as far as our statistics, that's all on our website. Everything's on our website, and then if people want more detail, they can just let us know. We send all of our numbers into University of Florida, Best Friends, all of the national shelter animals count. All of our numbers are sent into those. And we actually rank really high. We're one of the most successful shelters in Florida as far as like adoption rates and such.
Dave, if I can jump in for a minute.
Of course.
I just want to, and with all due respect to Amy, no disrespect at all, I just want to say, in all fairness to the volunteers and past board members that have spoken at the meetings, I've met with them and spoke with them a lot. I am a past volunteer there for many years. I don't feel like to call the group of people that speak out about things they see haters, I think is not a fair statement. I feel like as when you see something, you say something. Sometimes you're not very liked for that, for speaking up when you see something that you don't think that could be better, per se. Mm-hmm. So I feel like a lot of the things that are said at the meetings and people that have gone out and spoken out about what they've seen, I feel like some of it is very fair and legitimate concerns. So I think to call them a group of haters is not very fair. I think there's some legitimate concern there.
Is there one concern that would be helpful to talk about and say, like, this happened and what is there something that should be done? Like, what's the one thing that you would say, this would make people feel more comfortable if we could fix one thing at the Humane Society? What would it be?
One thing. When you ask different people, you're going to get a different answer. You know, my take on it is I think that the care of animals, the care of the animals for me is an issue. I think that there's some very adoptable dogs that have been euthanized. I think that's where some people that are very anti-euthanasia come in. Sometimes maybe it's not verbalized properly, but I think that's where the euthanasia piece of it, and euthanasia sometimes has to happen if a dog is aggressive or is suffering medically, absolutely. Sometimes there's help for a dog. We take in many abused and dumped dogs. We've put dogs through training. As a matter of fact, there was a dog at the shelter right before I left, a shepherd that I found a donor for that covered his board and train program and then paid thousands of dollars for him to be boarded because she didn't trust him going back to the shelter. So there's help for dogs. We've covered training for many dogs that needed it, and they became very adoptable and are doing very well in their homes. So I think it's just a matter of reaching out to our community. We rely on our community to help and to save a dog, whether it be through training, vet care. We have partner trainers here in town, like Lauren with Pet Peeves, that will step up and help any dog for not only SMART, but for the Humane Society as well. If there's help for the dog, they'll do it.
Amy, is it a struggle with the facilities you have? I've been in there. My dog ran off and had to go down there and get him. It was embarrassing. And then he acts like he didn't even know me, like he liked it better there.
Had to pay the bail.
But an understanding that there are, people's perception. And it's got to hurt you, too, to hear people get up there and say that, you could be doing a better job or this animal was whatever to it. And I understand, there's three sides to every story kind of thing. But with the facilities right now, physically, the building, the kennels, the everything, the infrastructure of it, give us kind of a state of the union of the Humane Society right now, today, with how many dogs you have in there, what's the capacity, just kind of give us an overview.
Well, the building is 22 years old, so it's, by today's standards, it would be nice if we had newer, nicer kennels, but they're still decent, and the population just varies. This last week we had one case where 17 dogs and 9 cats came from one household, and that was, boom, all at one time.
Wow.
So it does run sometimes where it can be crowded, and then like today we're on our way to Jacksonville for a big adoption event, and hopefully we'll get 20, 25 animals adopted at the big adoption event. So it varies, and we do, we end up with animals in our offices sometimes, and that people think that means we're like bursting at the seams, but sometimes it's just, like I've got a scared dog in my office now. So it's like trying to help them not be scared, so they come in and hang out with us in the office. And really, like, who wouldn't want a dog in their office in any profession, right? So we do. We'll have animals in the lobby and in the back admin offices. So it really varies as far as how crowded.
Sometimes you are overcrowded, sometimes you're not.
Right, and usually if we are crowded, it's very temporary. Like I said, the case from last week, those animals have been, for the most part, signed over now, so they're up in adoption, and they'll be getting adopted hopefully really quickly.
Okay. So the county is looking at building. Not today, but they're looking in the future here, maybe next year or whatever, to allocating millions of dollars to a new facility. And and we all know that no government is good at running any business. Palm Coast can't run a golf course, and yet all these other golf courses seem to do quite well privately owned. So I won't go. That's a whole different show. Anyway, so it would seem the smart thing would be, because it is a need and it is something that can be done. So if the county would say, all right, Amy, we're going to build you this, beautiful new facility. You're going to have what you need, air conditioning, because right now you have kennels where there's no air conditioning, right?
Part of the kennels, the AC is still working, but yeah, we've got a $158,000 air conditioner ordered that hopefully we'll have soon. But yeah.
So anyway, so a new facility. I mean, and it could change the whole attitude of the play. I mean, because the volunteers are under stress. I mean, you've got every day. I mean, you think about what it takes for taking care of your own dog. You got to feed them and take them out and go for walks, and you do all this kind. I can see where it would be so overwhelming. But if you had a facility like they're talking about, wouldn't that change everything and make people more positive?
Sure. Hi.
Get up.
Is that
I got somebody trying to steal a microphone.
Casper just walked across the front of the studio and gave Amy a little kiss. Like,
is that facility that you're talking about, though? That's not like for the Humane Society, right?
No, they could contract.
It would be
with
a different.
Them. Yeah, it would be a facility, and then contract with the management of it. I would think maybe something like that.
I think what the misconception was, looking at people commenting on Nextdoor and Facebook regarding like your article, is the first step they talked about was taking over animal control. Animal control is right now for the county, and Flagler Beach Bunnell, correct me if I'm wrong anywhere, Amy, please, is contracted with the Humane Society, where they hire their officers and they cover animal control, versus the city has their own animal control officers.
Meaning, like, if there's an aggressive dog, somebody needs to go and respond to it. Is that the type of thing that animal control officers would do?
Correct.
So the first step was county taking over or contracting with possibly the city of Palm Coast to now take over the animal control piece.
You're talking about a dog catcher.
Right. So a dog, I mean, and they investigate
pig catcher, cat catcher,
animal cruelty kind of cases. So that's the first step in it. And then they're talking about the space issue, which is then would come into play with a longer plan of how to develop another shelter with kennel spaces. It's very needed. Our county has quadrupled since the time that the shelter was built, and kennel spaces. We took in over 250 dogs since we started at the end of 22. Add in this year's numbers, so we're over 300 dogs that we've taken in. Maybe a handful, 5, might have been from out of the county, but everything else from in Flagler County here. So there's a need. There's definitely a need for space pertaining to the animal control going to the county. I totally support it. I think that, and Brian, you asked one of the questions that I didn't get to fully answer about, if there were an issue, what would it be? I think I'd really like to see the shelter animals. Anytime there's a lack of background check or drug tests involved when it comes to staff, there creates an issue. And there has been many issues with some staff working at the shelter that, to me, shouldn't be working with already neglected or abused animals. When a lost dog, even a lost dog like Casper, you take this dog that's found in the street, he doesn't know us, right? We pick him up, we put him in a kennel space, he's dealing with maybe 10 to 15 different staff members who he doesn't know and volunteers. That's spooky for a dog who's already nervous. Mm-hmm. So there's a nervous energy there, and people with a shady background or a criminal background or a violent tendency shouldn't be working with animals with this kind of fear, because bad things happen. So I just think there has to be a level of accountability when it comes to who we hire to work with our animals. And the same with volunteers. And it's not just for Amy. There's Community Cats, there's Smart. Together, we need to do what we have to do to protect the animals from any kind of negative being brought to the animals.
Okay. So what about you? What's it cost to run Smart in a year? I know you're a charity, 501c3.
Yes.
But we're asking anyway. Because you started off small and everything gets bigger, the expenses get bigger.
Absolutely. So we are volunteer-based. There's no salaries. I don't take a salary. I am the director. Here, let me interrupt you here. All right. How do you live if you don't take a salary? I did this for 7 or 8 years as a volunteer for the shelter, so it's no different doing it for Smart.
Are you just wealthy?
I wish I was. If I did, I would have a shelter environment where I can house my animals instead of begging for fosters. But no, I'm very comfortable in my life, so I don't need it. What I do for the animals is purely from the heart. So I do it because I love the animals. I want to help them. Actually, when I started Smart, I just want to back up a little bit for some clarity. When I started Smart, I was actually still a volunteer with Amy at the shelter. I did it because I pick up a lot of dogs that are after hours, injured, hit by a car, and families we help sometimes with emergency vet care. It's easier to have a nonprofit organization where you can fundraise and people write that money off and have a tax deduction versus just going online and pleading, hey, can we help, Dave, whose dog was just hit by a car and he needs $3,000.
Don't put that on me.
So the start of Smart was also beneficial to the animals going to the shelter, because if I can take those dogs and get them vet care instead of putting that bill on the shelter with an emergency coming in, and we can raise funds to do it, it would help. So Smart has turned into more of a rescue now of us taking in dogs after me parting with the shelter.
So am I understanding this right? Because it's kind of piecemealed right now. You got the city of Palm Coast doing their thing, but they have dog catchers. The county doesn't have a dog catcher, right, with a truck that drives around and picks up animals. They do?
No, the Humane Society oversees that. And we don't, our focus is more on helping people. So we don't do a whole lot of citations and that, which is kind of the best practice now for all animal control. It's less about control and it's more about services. So we do go out to Bunnell, Flagler Beach, and unincorporated county and provide animal services.
So you have a truck with little cages in it. Okay, that's what I'm trying to picture. So would it be kind of a consensus here, Dave and Amy and Caroline? So if the county would say, okay, we're going to centralize animal control in this county, and Palm Coast just pay us and get rid of your dog catchers and all that kind of stuff, and it's centralized and maybe coordinated with the sheriff's department with communication and things as well. And it's centralized where it's just so much easier and probably cost efficient, I would think, if it was centralized under one thing. Build a nice new facility, partner with the Humane Society for a management contract on it. Caroline, get some money to Caroline to help with her as well, and make it a better place. Is that a dream?
I think right now everything's kind of up in the air, and we'll see where it goes. I just hope that whatever they do it well, and they do it right.
What the property you're on right now? Who owns that?
We do.
You
the
do.
Humane Society does.
So if the county goes, we're going to build you a new one out on county property, you could sell that land, right?
Is that the proposal, or I thought it was to build a totally separate second building that would be independent of
the Humane Society, right?
So there would be two different ones that would be serving, and that's what I'm wondering, is that like...
Would that be better to have two, or just to have one good mega mothership?
So looking at, Dave, the history, right? We have 67 counties, and actually Cam, one of the past board members, did some statistics and got info together for county and city. 67 counties in Florida, and there's only 13 that do not have a municipal shelter run by the county and city. So we're one of those 13. It's not uncommon for there to be a nonprofit with a Humane Society and the county to run a separate facility. They are a nonprofit organization like myself, but the difference is they have a building. We don't. For the county to run animal control and to have a place to house animals is I don't see as a bad thing. I don't think I have never taken I've never heard it in their discussions that they're doing it to shut the shelter down or to hurt the shelter in any kind of a way. I think there's been in listening to the meetings and being at the meetings, there were some concerns about the overall management of the shelter. They've listened to the concerns of people that have address concerns. But I think the biggest issue is we have a space issue. We have a huge space issue. Our community is growing. We're already 4 times the population from when it was built. And I think right now, Amy, I don't know what your wait time is as far as scheduling people to come in, but we do get many calls on a weekly basis of people needing to surrender. If it's a real emergency, I'll help where I can. I've even covered some boarding for dogs. I've had some families that have told me they were scheduled a week out. Some families told me they needed to come back in 2 weeks to surrender their dog. When in an emergency situation, or you can't feed yourself, or you have nowhere to live, or in a car, or even if you're staying in a hotel and you don't have where they're pet friendly, sometimes having a week or 2 wait is not sufficient. Mm-hmm. So I think we need more space. I think everybody has the hearts and minds to help the animals, whether it be SMART, the Humane Society, the county. I think everybody's hearts and mind are in the right place, and we need to find a way to work together for the right cause. I think we put in just as much work as a Humane Society or Community Cats. We don't get any funding from the city or county at this point. We take in the animals. Our vet care is a lot higher, and we don't get any support at this point. So I'd like to see across the board everybody that's working hard for the animals get the support and accountability.
Are we in agreement on that?
Sure, yeah. We definitely want the best for the animals, and I would caution a lot of municipal shelters, their live release rate is a lot lower. So we just want to make sure that we don't have more animals euthanized as a result of a municipal shelter.
All right, we're going to take a break. We'll be back with some final comments. What can you, our listeners, do to help out Amy, help out Caroline, help out these sweet little animals like we have in the studio here? Casper, I'm sure he'll be adopted before we end the program. We'll be right back.
Flagler County is an awesome place to live, and we have so many exciting things to look forward to. Hi, I'm your Flagler County Commissioner, Leanne Pennington. Already we've been able to accomplish many things you may not be aware of. We've funded flood prevention efforts. We've protected environmentally sensitive land throughout the county. We've created new economic development incentives that will create new jobs, and we're one of the safest counties in the state of Florida. I'm Commissioner Leanne Pennington. Thank you for your support.
This is Attorney Michael Politis. You pay your bills. You pay for your insurance every month, year after year, and then one day, bam, you're in an accident. After all that loyalty and all those payments, does the insurance company want to pay you when you finally need them? No. They're happy to take your money, but never want to pay when they should. Don't trust an insurance adjuster to do right by you. They work for the company, and their job is to save money, not spend it. I want to work for you. Who should you trust? Politis and Matavina, the Justice Attorneys. Offices Palm Coast, Ormond Beach, Port Orange, and Orange City.
Hey, do you know somebody who'd like to move to this area? It's a tough housing market out there right now. I know. I've been doing this for 40 years. I know all the builders, the neighborhoods in the area. I know where the $1 million mansions are and where to find the good starter homes. Give me a call anytime. I'd be happy to help. I'm Memory Hopkins. Everybody knows me around here, from lighthouse to lighthouse. My cell phone is 386-931-9464. Memory Hopkins Real Estate. Let's talk.
Free for all Friday, June 27th, 2025. And, boy, the year is just zipping by. I can't believe we're halfway through it. And, but here we are, Brian.
Doesn't stop.
Nope. Anyway, all right, we're going to do final comments, words of wisdom. Casper, you get the first word in here. He's been pretty quiet during the whole program. So we're hoping to find Casper a forever home.
Yes.
And if you didn't catch the beginning of it, go back and listen to the introduction that Caroline did. You really pumped up Casper well. So he's a cool dog. He's very well behaved. He's walking around on the counter here at the radio and right, buddy? Yeah. All right. Well, Caroline, final comments from you. What can the listeners do to help Caroline and Smart?
Head over to our website, smartflagler.com. There's adoptable dogs. There's some of our very needy vet care dogs that have higher vet costs. If you'd like to sponsor a dog, we need local business sponsors. Fosters. We are always seeking fosters. The more fosters we have, the more dogs we can rescue. So,
like a temporary foster? That's what that is?
Absolutely. Helping them learn to love, get over their fear, helping us vet them, and essentially learning what they like and don't like so we can find the perfect home for them.
So if we're looking for one maybe to temporary, but not a forever home, but we'll look out for somebody. You go.
We've lost a lot of fosters because they are foster failures. They end up adopting. So you get this scared dog in and you love on them for a month. How you're letting them go. So I'm okay with that too. I'd like to keep them where they are. So yeah, if you're willing to foster and help us, save a dog's life. It does save a dog's life.
All right. Well, thank you for what you do.
Thank you. Thank you for having me as well.
SMART. It is Saving Missing Animals Response Team.
Thank you.
You're a special person. Thank you, Caroline.
Thank you.
All right, Dave Joy. You've you're a tough guy with a beautiful heart, and you for animals.
Now you're ruining my rep.
Yeah.
Well, first of all, come to Johnny D's, buy a tater tot special. $2 goes to the Humane Society. Second, I kind of wasn't invited here. I kind of just showed up this morning and said, oh, my goodness, we're talking. Today starts a conversation. And what I have said and why I wanted to join the board is, one, you're right, I do love animals. I've got 3 dogs at home. One is going through the puppy teething terror phase. But the conversation needs to change. And I think the participants of that conversation are sitting at this table. They're sitting at the city and the county council. They're reading your newspaper, right? They're in that conversation. And none of the people at this table, myself included, profess to know everything. I think you ladies would agree with that,
Absolutely.
Right? And I think I said it earlier, if you seek to understand instead of being understood, right? There's great things that SMART does that could benefit the Humane Society. I think there's some good things that the Humane Society does that may be outlets for SMART. I think the county and the city getting involved as they are, I think it's fantastic. And like I said, we had a meeting yesterday. The Humane Society is not like, oh, what are they doing? It's fantastic. It's a break-even proposition that we have with both the city and the county right now, right? So if you're not making any money, we're doing it for the animals. So I'm just glad I was part of the conversation, and I hope it continues. I hope it continues on a city and a county level and between these two ladies and Community Cats and whoever, because at the end of the day, every single one of us care about the animals that we serve.
Great. Very good. Amy Caratanudo, final words of wisdom. What can we do for the Humane Society?
Oh, well, come adopt, for one thing. We're open 7 days a week, so come adopt. Come to our vaccine clinic every Saturday. We have low-cost veterinary appointments also. We have manicure Mondays. We have a lot of services that we're happy for people to take advantage of so that they can be the best pet owners they can possibly be.
Okay, well, thank you. And also listen to Amy Saturday mornings at 8 o'clock. Speaking of animals.
Ooh, speaking of animals.
All right. Brian, final words from you.
I guess I feel kind of like overwhelmed with how much work is going in. I mean, this is a lot of big hearts in the community, and not only just like we're talking about volunteers at the Humane Society with SMART. How many foster volunteers do you have, Carolyn, for example?
We have all of our fosters are volunteers at our events as well. So we have about maybe 25 people that are pretty like boots on the ground that are regulars for us.
Yeah, so it's right. I think that's a great way to describe it, is like helping the helpless. You know, this is kind of like, what kind of a community do we want to have? It's the type that is willing to step up and do this kind of thing. So I think that all the discussions, it's been a little uncomfortable sometimes, I would say, about a lot of accusations made over time about like what's going on at the Humane Society, and then, well, actually things are better than people think, or things like that. I think that as long as the goal is clear, and that is like take the best care of the animals that we can, all that is actually healthy, even though it gets kind of uncomfortable. And hopefully it just says, okay, we got this feedback, we're making these changes, we're making these improvements, and we wouldn't be talking about all this stuff if people didn't say, we need to improve what's going on. And, the governments are responding and making a plan. And so I think that in the end, it's all going to work for the good of the animals, which means it's really good for our community as a whole. So I just want to say thanks to everyone who's putting their hearts into it. I think it's very inspiring.
Well, here's my seek to understand. Can I quote you on that?
Yeah, that's
absolutely.
All right. Everybody, have a great weekend. Go out, adopt a dog right there. I'm sure Casper will have a home real fast.
Oh,
Take care.
yes.
Be safe. Be kind.
Thank you for having us.
Phone ringing, dog barking at the mailman, bringing that stack of bills overdue. Good morning, baby, how are you? Got a half hour, a quick shower, take a drink of milk, but the milk's
Serving
gone
Flagler
sour.
County for a decade and a half. WNZF, 1550 AM, 94.9 FM HD3, and W235CW Bunnell.